Ekiti State University.
This lofty vision which our fathers bore. Blessed be thy diligence, most abundant dedication and passion for knowledge, honor, and service.
Eksu.
Shining, I say shine. The goal is clear to best the best race. For strength that builds our nation.
Hail, hail, Ekiti State University.
The fountain from which we all draw with joy.
Ekiti State University.
This lofty vision which our fathers bore. Blessed be thy diligence, most abundant dedication and passion for knowledge, honor, and service.
Eksu.
Shining all space, I say shine. The goal is clear to best the best race. For strength that builds our nation.
Hail, hail, Ekiti State University.
The fountain from which we all draw with joy. We acknowledge God and His grace. For institution fostered with learning and culture. Great may you remain forever and ever.
Eksu.
Shining all space, I say shine. The goal is clear to best the best race. For strength that builds our nation.
Senate and management of Ekiti State University. We welcome our Chancellor, His Highness Mohammed Sanusi II, the 14th Emir of Kano, to this great citadel. We are delighted to have you, Your Highness, because we have been looking forward to this day. I can remember we were with Your Highness in Kano in June 2019 with the Pro-Chancellor. And indeed gave us a warm welcome on that particular day, which we appreciated, sir. And today, we're happy to receive you because tomorrow will be your investiture as Chancellor of this great university before you preside over convocation. Here we have with us Your Highness, our Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council. You know him very well. He's an international scholar of repute. He's a professor of international relations and the former Vice Chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, Professor Babitani Omoni. I also have my Vice Chancellor, sir. He's also a distinguished scholar. He's a professor of industrial policy, Professor Edward Oloshola. Your notable friends. You have so many things in common. Both of you are activists. He is activist from the bar, while you are one from the throne, sir. It's Barrister Femi Falana, SAN.
The Vice Chancellor of the United States University. So, it's a pleasure to have you sign this registration.
alluded to the one reception that you accorded us when I led a team of the then acting Vice Chancellor with the registrar and some of our people. And we can't forget, I was just telling your very good friend there that
was the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He was appointed by the then President Muhammadu Yar'Adua in 2009. And that was when there was this global financial crisis. Our Chancellor is an astute economist and a banker and a financial expert. He was able to manage the recession in 2019. He was the one who brought about the cashless policy. He was the one who made so many reforms in the banking sector. He was the one who consolidated the bank through the merger and acquisition of banks then. And he did so many things. He's a critic, he's an activist, even though he's the royal father, but he's also an activist from the throne. You will agree with me, for some of us who knew when he took upon the National Assembly that it was wrong for them to be spending 25% of the government revenue. He was the one who kicked against the issue of this $20 billion in NNPC, you will recall. But that pleased him against the government then. As a matter of fact, our chancellor then was detained. His international passport was seized, but he went to court. And in 2014, he got a judgment against the federal government of Nigeria. Although it's from people who say Northerners are conservative, but it's not one. He criticizes the conservatives in the north. He called for an end to child marriage. In the idea for women empowerment, he said the northern area should be building more schools than mosques. In the money to infrastructural development, he said there should be population planning. And Chancellor also is of the view that polygamy is increasing poverty in the region. He's also an advocate of family planning because he says this will reduce the issue of animal. So the Chancellor we have is not only a royal father, he's an activist. He has been involved in the political trends in this university, in this country, and he has stepped on so many toes. Our Chancellor is Highness Mahmoud Sanusi II, CON, the 14th Emir of Ghana. Distinguished scholar and academic by excellence. Even now as of today, he has spent 30 years in this university. He has spent all his academic life in this university. He's a professor of industrial chemistry, Professor Edward Olorunsola Oladi. I would also like to acknowledge the president of the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese. He's also an activist and a friend of our convocation lecturer. They have been together. He's also an active from the pulpit. Even though the convocation lecturer of today too will have been on the pulpit, but he ran away from the seminary. Most Reverend Felix Ajakai, you are welcome. So Patrick Pedera. Our Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development, Professor Olajide is also here with us. The University Librarian, Dr. Fabuli, you are welcome. Recognize the presence of members of our family. You are welcome. Dr. Adetubem, the alumni president. You are welcome, sir. We have Professor David Adetoye. You are welcome, sir. Yeah. They are involved in that. They are welcome, sir. Your citation is in the beginning.
Is around. And by the grace of God, none of us shall be a victim. Please comply. The name of Lord, they are not supposed to be sitting there. Please go to the next seat. The name of Lord. The Eksu 24th Convocation. Many of the special position goes to his lordship, most reverend, Felix Betenakaye, the Bishop of Diocese of Ekiti, for accepting to be the chairman at this important academic event, despite the very short notice. Today's lecture marks the third major event on our schedule for the convocation ceremony, which started on Monday, 14th December 2020. The grand finale will, by the grace of God, come up tomorrow, Thursday, 17th December 2020. With the award of diplomas, first degree, postgraduate diplomas, and higher degrees, as well as the investiture of His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CON, the 14th Emir of Kano, as High Chancellor. I will permit me to use this medium to appreciate His Highness for, despite his tight schedule, decided to come and honor his friend, my brother, my mentor, my benefactor, Barrister Femi Falana, senior of the university and senior of the Nigeria. The young progress, my humble self and my registrar are more or less, quote unquote, sons of Femi Falana. And I want to also express my profound appreciation to Barrister Femi Falana, who, despite the very short notice, accepted to deliver this lecture and to be here in flesh and blood. The same belief of the Public Council and Library of the State University is doing what is required as and when built, without necessarily compromising standard at any level. This prompted our determination to hold the 24th Convocation ceremony at a time like this, which has bestowed on us both a new normal. It is also to show our compliance at the State University with the resolutions reached at the 27th conference of the Association of Vice Chancellors of the Universities held at National University Eksu in the year 2012, otherwise known as the Eksu Declaration, which provides, amongst others, that Nigerian universities must hold convocation at least once in a year. Permit me to use this video to appreciate the unalloyed support dynamic leadership of our able Pro-Chancellor and Chairman, Professor Bamitale Omole, for approving our request to hold this convocation ceremony despite the various challenges rampant in the region at this time, and in particular, the ones confronting our university. I want to thank you, sir, and your members. In view of the prevailing developments in the country, and as part of our contributions towards nation building, the topic for this year's convocation lecture has been carefully chosen such that the recommendations therein will be able to hopefully address fundamental issues organic design and collective interrogation as a nation. The lecture as well advertised, titled Restructuring and Struggle for the Liberation of Nigeria. And the lecture is to be delivered by a distinguished Nigerian, an accomplished lawyer, a defender of truth and justice, with an unapologetic voice for the masses, in person of Barrister Femi Falana. My ego, as I used to call him, is a true son of Ekiti and a tribalized Nigerian who is well worldwide, most especially for his contributions in the area of students, democratic initiatives, and social advocacy. The Nigerian region, perhaps because of the colonial mode of evolution, still remains contentious, leading to continued agitation for restructuring, even in extreme dissolution of the Union, 60 years after independence. Well, I don't want to break the accompanying lecturer, but I, as an individual, I don't believe and I don't subscribe to the idea that dissolving this nation is the panacea to our problems, to our challenges. I am an apostle of one Nigeria and one nation, as it used to be the one struggle of the world party those days. So my position that I'm going to bring friends in is to advocate that the cancer causing these discordant tones should be fundamentally addressed and treated with committed urgency, even if it will involve another legal discourse of constituent members of this country. You will all agree with me that no other person except a barrister, Femi Falana, who are the most appropriate to interrogate this very topic on behalf of the Public Council, management, staff, graduate students of our university. This is my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest lecturer to our great university, and once again to most learning, thank you for accepting the this convocation lecture at the shortest notice. I invite all of us to please be attentive as we listen to the 24th Convocation lecture of our university. Thank you. But before I take my seat, I want to reiterate what I have earlier said. Our Chancellor is a man who places premium on a number of things, including time. And I have the privilege, information, that he has other people. So I want to begin to plead that we respect and Chancellor by ensuring that whatever program we're going to have should come to an end latest quarter to 2. God bless you all.
The Vice Chancellor, the Bishop of Catholic Church, Deputy Vice Chair, President Mayor, members of Public Council, all protocols will be observed.
Like me, that. Might be interesting.
Like yours sincerely, you always watch or listen to him speak. 4 words are likely to come to your mind, and these are 4 words: eloquence, articulation, logic, and knowledge. If you are not swept off your feet by the sheer eloquence, you are likely to find his articulation simply irresistible. If you are still not awed by these two, then the supreme and unassailable logic of his delivery is likely to give you, to clean you to your seat. You wonder, add all this to a series of family and luminary who are distributing the legal family for the past 30 years. Is the right answer to that? I'm talking of no other than the erudite lecturer of today, Barrister Femi Fami, whose name has come to constitute a synonym for legal outspokenness, fearlessness, and courage. Femi Fami was, he studied law at the University of Ife, now Babylon University. And in Nigerian law school, he was brought to the bar in 1982. And since he has been an active member, practicing, majoring in human rights and international humanitarian law. He is in the forefront of the struggle for the defense and promotion of human rights, democracy, and accountability in Africa. Apart from his regular appearances in Nigerian courts, Femi Falana has represented victims of human rights abuse at the African Commission of Human Rights and Human Rights in Banjul, the Gambia, Community Court of Justice in Abuja, Nigeria, and African Court of Human and People's Rights in Arusha, Tanzania. He has secured the release of hundreds of illegally detained persons and ensured the reinstatement of many dismissed students and staff of tertiary institutions. The other body was called the soldiers who were in charge, convicted and sentenced to death or life in prison and military courts. Following the suspension of human rights provision in the consumed by successive military regimes, Mr. Falana convinced Nigerian courts to uphold the human rights of the Nigerian people, guaranteed by the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. He equally championed his campaign that led to the expansion of the mandate of the Community Court of Justice to enforce the human rights of people of member states of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Through public interest, litigation, his law firm, Falana Chambers, successfully stopped the execution of 12 kids who were convicted for armed robbery by the military tribunal in Lagos, the takeover of the Nigerian Bar Association by the military junta, the prosecution of the Academic Staff Union for Investments, ASU, and the criminalization of strike by teachers, the arrest and detention of family members in view of wanted criminal as suspects, and indefinite suspension of legislators from legislative houses. Apart from the promotion of political and civil rights, Mr. Falana's law firm has ensured the recognition and protection of the socio-economic rights of the Nigerian people, and so much more. Through public interest litigation, Mr. Falana has contributed to the promotion of human rights and expansion of the democratic space in Africa. And what is more, he has successfully campaigned for the enactment of the welfare laws for the majority of poor and disadvantaged citizens. And on account of this human rights activities, he was arrested and detained in police prisons custody on several occasions from 1984 to 1998 by the former military dictators. Lawful assembly, inciting, sedition, and trivial felony, but was never convicted by any court. In 1996, he was declared a prisoner of conscience by Amnesty International. However, he had been honored for his consistent defense of human rights and rule of law. His many awards include the American Bar Association Human Rights Award, 1986, the Defender of the Year Award for International League of Human Rights, New York 2000, Kwame Nkrumah Leadership Award, Ghana 2003, 9th Outstanding Leadership by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts State, House of Representatives and Constitutional Council, United States, 1988, and the prestigious Bernard Simons Human Rights Award by the International Law Bar Association 2008, Night of Freedom Award by the Legal Aid Council of 2009, Gandhi Life Award, Lifetime Award for Human Rights for the Hallmark of Labour Foundation, 2011 Nigeria, and Promoter of Human Rights to Spread, Africa by the National Human Rights Commission, 2015, was the Sheikh Center Award for Human Rights 2020. Apart from his stint as a member of the National Executive Council of the Ghana Association and General Bar Council, Mr. Fagana was the president of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, 1996 to 1998. Secretary General, African Bar Association. Secretary General, African Bar Association, 2002. What is more? We can give it come there, but time will not allow us. Mr. Fagana is the Local Commentator of Public Affairs and Chief, Woodley Board of Nigeria, and the member of the Nigerian Board of Banker Newspaper, Network of the Journalists, etc., etc. He has a long list of obligations, of which time will not allow here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a legal scenario, a consummate legal man, the man who has fallen in love with health, when we found out, who we found out, we can measure it.
Universities, the centers of ideas in Nigeria. That was the university system that we knew. The chancellor will recall in the 80s when he was an undergraduate at the Ahmadu Bello University, and I was an undergraduate at the Obafemi University, University of Ife then. We had lecturers from the left and the right. We had lecturers who believe in ideology and contestation of ideas. That was why in 1976, 75, among those who were going to write the Constitution of Nigeria, we had professors and lecturers. Two of them, one in ABU, the late Bala Usman, and one in Ife, Dr. Segun Oshoba, not the journalist. The two of them were historians. But unlike lawyers in the assembly, the two of them wrote a minority report because they couldn't agree with the others on the way forward for our country. Their minority report has become a reference point when you are discussing the development of Nigeria. I therefore would like to challenge this university, luckily with a chancellor like our emir, that this university must be a primus inter pares in promoting ideas in our country. Because right now, the politics of our country has been largely taken over by political buccaneers and economic saboteurs. We therefore owe it a duty to take politics back to the days of ideas. Our chancellor here, if Nigerians are listening to him, if the political class in the north had listened to him, we will not be where we are now. Before he became the emir and in the throne, he was always challenging the ruling class to embark on mass education of the children in the north. Today, those who make it impossible for the children of the poor to go to school, we are all in trouble today. Bandits, terrorists, and kidnappers have taken over our country because we fail to listen to the words of the truth and wisdom that the likes of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi devoted their entire life to. But today we are discussing restructuring. And for him, and for people like us, restructuring is not about breaking up Nigeria. Restructuring is about making Nigeria to work, and Nigeria can work. This is the largest concentration of black people on earth. And we have all it takes, abundant human and natural resources to make Nigeria work. Because there are a number of myths, lies about Nigeria. I will read a few portions of my paper. Page 7, Restructuring in History. What people talk about colonial regime as if we sat down to ask the British to colonize us. From November 1884 and February 1885, a gang of European colonizers held a conference in Berlin, Germany, for the scramble and partition of the continent of Africa. Nigeria was allotted to Britain, and I'm sure you are aware that the governor of the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Protectorate, Lord Frederick Lugard, find it convenient for colonialism to merge the two protectorates on January 1, 1914. So when you are told that six people signed the amalgamation document, it's a lie. Two, you are also told that that amalgamation document said that Nigeria will exist for 100 years. So Nigeria should have dissolved in 2014. Again, it's a lie. There is no such document anywhere. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because in this part of the world, those who want restructuring, either to weaken Nigeria or to break up Nigeria, claim that the colonialists have said they were going to rule Nigeria for 100 years. No. Colonialists do not decide when to leave a country. In fact, it's in the interest of Britain that Nigerians remains a united entity to facilitate the exploitation of this country. And so that is the position of the colonial regime in India, in Ghana, anywhere. They never said they were going to go. And in the case of Nigeria, they were made to go. Having said that, let's now go to Awolowo, because people also cite Awolowo here in a very dubious manner. I go to page 13, Awolowo and restructuring. No doubt, Awolowo was the leading advocate of federalism among his peers. A line in his famous 1945 book, Path to Nigerian Freedom, has been conveniently quoted out of context by some protagonists of restructuring. And what is that line? That Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. So people now say, oh, our father has said Nigeria is a geographical expression. Let's break it. Awolowo wrote that book as part of the literature of anti-colonial struggle. As stated earlier, nationalist politicians were engaged in spirited debate on the future and structure of Nigerian Federation. Awolowo argued vigorously for a suitable federalism of Nigeria, not true federalism. But we are also told here now, oh, we need true federalism. There is nothing like true federalism. In practice, there is nothing like true federalism. That was an era in which politicians were at home with ideas. They had organic link with scholars, not thugs. If you know about Awolowo, here, people like Sam Aluko were the economic advisor of Awolowo. Today, we must be able to tell our politicians to associate themselves with intellectuals so that they can learn from them. Almost 2 decades later, while Awolowo was in Calabar prison, he wrote 2 books, The People's Republic and The Strategy and Tactics of the People's Republic of Nigeria. In both publications, Awolowo initiated a social democratic agenda for Nigeria and the governance structure to put it into practice. At that stage of his remarkable political life, Awolowo was thinking of how to develop Nigeria and push the frontier of human progress in part of the world, one part of the world. He was not on a mission to preside over any Oduduwa republic. Awolowo was not there for Yoruba nation at that stage, or to leave Yoruba alone to develop at their own pace. That's another phrase. Yoruba should be allowed to develop at their own pace. Unmindful of the reality of the Nigerian political economy. Little surprised that 32 years after the publication of Path to Nigerian Freedom, Awolowo sought to become the president of Nigeria, not Ààrẹ of Yoruba or Oduduwa Republic. His platform was the Unity Party of Nigeria, Unity. He chose the word unity deliberately. Most significant is that the cardinal program of the UPN were free education, free healthcare, full employment, and integrated rural development. Those who are talking of ethnicity here, the Ekiti people have a lot to learn. The Ekiti people embraced Awo and Ajashi in 1983 against your own son, Omoborowo, because at that time, Ekiti people wanted their children to be given free education, and that was why the Jebu man was preferred to an Ekiti man. Now, I rush politics of restructuring, page 16. I'm quoting our governor here, he said recently in Kaduna, now quoting, in essence, our desire to build a more perfect union should be anchored on the principle of devolution of power. That is, reallocation of powers and resources to the country's federating unit. The reason for this are not far-fetched. First, long years of military rule have produced an over-concentration of power and resources at the center to the detriment of the state. 2, the 1999 Constitution, as has been argued by several observers, was hurriedly put together by the departing military authority and was not a product of institutional inclusiveness. The governor opined that restructuring will cement the unity of Nigeria and engender with perfect union. As far as Governor Fayemi is concerned, the revenue allocation formula in the country should be altered in favor of states. According to him, 43% should go to states, 35% to the federal government, and 23% to the local government. Governor El-Rufai, who was also at the program, spoke along the same line. And for him, restructuring will make Nigeria to be a perfect union. With respect, I disagree with my governor. And my point of disagreement is this. Because currently, the federal government takes away 52% of the revenue of the country, while the states and local government are allocated 48%. I'm saying, assuming without concern, that 100% will go to states and local government. There's nothing to it. What we do every month is to go to Abuja to share poverty. Poverty. And I'm saying here, Nigeria has a population of 206 million people. Our budget this year, 2020, is $30 billion. Brazil, population of 208 million people, about the same population. The budget this year is $650 billion. Our own $30 billion. So, you know that we go to Abuja to share poverty. And my position, therefore, that our governors must put on their thinking caps and challenge Abuja. Nobody is going to give you your freedom. Restructuring is about freedom. And unless you fight the authorities in Abuja, nobody is going to give you instruction. Particularly the APC government, who restructuring in their manifesto and program. But upon getting to power, President Buhari says no. And Buhari is not alone. President Obasanjo was there for 8 years. Jonathan for 5 years. Yar'Adua about 2 years. The North has produced 2 presidents. The South, 2, between 1999 and now. None of those presidents has ever, while in power, believed in instruction. It's when they're out of power that they start talking about instruction. I am submitting that there are policies of the government in Abuja and the states that are keeping our people divided, that are subverting federalism. Section 14 of the Constitution knew, and we say that there will be a problem. And that section says, the government of Nigeria shall reflect federal character. There shall be no lopsided appointment, whether in Abuja or in the states. But you know what is going on in our country. But I plead with you, intellectuals, don't join those who are using the government in Abuja to judge the North or any part of Nigeria. I am submitting that many Northerners, including our Chancellor, totally and vehemently disagree with President Buhari's policies and programs. Fundamentally. Because they know, and we all know, that those policies are not in the interest of keeping our people together. So lopsided appointment, the Constitution has provided how to fight it. There is a Federal Character Commission. Stop complaining, go to court, and challenge any appointment that you think is against the Constitution. Secondly, it's not only Abuja that is subverting the Constitution. Right now, Gombe State in the north and Cross River State in the south have refused to appoint 2 women as chief judges of their states. The woman in Gombe, they said because she's a Christian. The woman in Cross River, because they say she is from Akwa Ibom State, even though she has risen to the highest level in the judiciary, but the governor said no, go to your state and become chief judge. So I am saying therefore that what we should do for women here, don't allow those who say there shall be a woman leader in political party. There is no man leader. So don't allow women's leader. Why they do that? The men who control political parties ensure that the meetings are held in the night. So when it's about 4 and no responsible woman will leave the family and go and attend the meeting like a good plotter in the dead of the night. So when it's about 4 or 5 a.m. that the men are concluding the meeting, they will then, we haven't had a woman in our secretary, so let's have a woman leader. We must stop that. And I'm saying here, I'm recommending that we should behave like Rwanda, South Africa, and Ethiopia. In Africa today, those 3 countries now insist that there must be gender equality. Their cabinet is 50-50. 50% men and women. And that is where we should go into. Now, I am challenging our governors here that in this Constitution of 1999, there are powers given to them that they have fabricated, and the federal has taken over those powers. One that borders all of us is the security of our country. There is no federal government police in Nigeria. Do you hear that? There is no federal government police. We have Nigeria Police Force. That police force shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Council. Who are the members of the Nigerian Police Council? 39 of them. The President, the Inspector General of Police, and the chairman police council representing the federal government. The rest 36 are our state governors. So in a body of 39 members, 36 are representing the states. The president is only the chairman. That body shall meet regularly to discuss the security of Nigeria. I have been pleading with our governors to requisition the meetings of that body. That body never meets. The president cannot appoint an inspector general of police or remove one without consulting that body. The body never meets. 3 years ago, I filed an action in court. Femi filed an against President Buhari to convene the meeting. And I spoke to some governor. This is your assignment. He said, Mr. Bala, we wish you well. But what we did, please, what we did was to get the National Assembly to look at that. Hence, Section 6 of the Nigerian Police Act of 2020 has now provided that that body shall meet not less than twice a year and can also hold emergency meetings. That law came into force in September. Up to now, no meeting has been held, in spite of the worsening security situation in the country. Secondly, funding of the police. 0.5% of the entire money in the federation account shall be taken. 0.005% of the profits of all companies, including banks, including all companies, shall also be contributed to Nigerian Police Trust Fund. That money, the money shall now be used to fund the police, provide security, training for them, build their barracks, and buy equipment for them. The deduction started last year, up to now. Not a dime has been spent to fund the police. And governors and state government, whose money is being deducted, have never bothered to say, why are you doing this? And therefore, I'm suggesting that our governors must wake up and ensure that police powers are jointly shared by the president and the state governors. Very close to that is protest in Nigeria. I'm sure you know about the NSAS protest. Under the law, and I handle this case for Nigeria, the case of ANPP and IGP, President Buhari, General Buhari as he then was, led the team to my office in Abuja. Sorry. We had a rally in Kano and the police tear gassed us. What can you do for us? And why? They said we didn't get police money. So I went to court for them. And I handled the case pro bono publico. I didn't take a dime from them. We won the case in the High Court that police permit is a colonial relic of colonialism. No Nigerian should get police permit to demonstrate. The police appealed to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal said the name of the IG is not even mentioned in the Public Order Act. Governors are the only people empowered to control public meetings and rallies in Nigeria. But today, our governors are either not aware of this law or, again, they have given their powers to our people. So the IG, whose name is not mentioned in the law, decide who should hold rallies, including governors. And that is why I'm saying again, our governors must take over control of public order and internal security in their state. The last one there, when you take somebody to court in any state in Nigeria and you're asking for bail, bail may be granted or refused, and then the case will go to the Attorney General for legal advice. Not Attorney General of Abuja, Attorney General of the state. So 98% of criminal cases in Nigeria are state offenses, not federal. So when some people, out of ignorance, say, oh, this Buhari man, because he's a Fulani man, is allowing herders to kill people. And I've asked them, please, and you can quote me on this. Since 2015, no herder, no herdsman has been arrested in any state in Nigeria. And anybody phone from Abuja, please don't prosecute it. Nobody. So, anybody who kills, whether you are a herdsman or whatever, it is the duty of the state government to arrest and prosecute him. Not the business of Abuja. In fact, if the Attorney General in Abuja wants to prosecute a murder suspect in Ekiti State, he will need to get the fiat of Attorney General of Ekiti State. Because that is the power vested by the Constitution in the Attorney General of the state. So if there are criminal offenses in our state not being prosecuted, don't blame Abuja, blame your state government. And I'll just quickly go to the economy. And this is the area I never knew that the Chancellor was going to be here. Page 36. I had cause to quote the Chancellor because he had been warning Nigeria, stop this dual exchange rate of 305 official rate and then 500 naira in the black market of 475. Because if you do that, you are destroying the economy. And I will quote him. Profound respect, Mr. Chancellor. At a public lecture event in Kano, 2016, August 14, the Emir said, when the CBN was selling dollars at 197 and people were buying at 300 naira, if I sit in my garden and make calls on the phone, I will have enough people to call in the industry to get me $10 million at official rate. Do you doubt it? You know him in his characteristic manner. As a former MD, former governor of the CBN, and what they now call the royal father, think about it. I sit in my garden and make a full phone call and get $10 million at 197 per dollar and sell at 300 naira to the dollar. I will make a profit of 1.03 billion naira. If I do that 4 times in a year for doing nothing, I would have had 4 billion naira. And people were telling us that this policy was to help the poor. We are not dividing the naira, because if we do, the poor will suffer. The people that were profiting from this were people that were telling the government that if we devalue the naira, people will suffer. End of quote. Please, can we clap for the Chancellor? And I'm saying what is happening today is worse. It's worse today. You get the $10 million now at 305. You take it to the market and sell at 475 naira or 500 naira. You become a multi-billionaire. No economy is run that way, except the economy of a banana republic. And now I'm pleading with our country has gone to another recession. You were told by the company that in 2008, when you had the global meltdown, we had people like Sanusi Lamido Sanusi that saved the economy of Nigeria from total collapse. Today, another recession is here. And the governor of Central Bank has spoken like a babalawo. Oh, this recession will end first quarter of next year. How? You see that we are going to have more productivity or what? But the World Bank has said no. This may continue until 2023. Oh yes, I've quoted it here, page 37. And I'm also saying that our governors are not interested in the way the economy is run. When the governor of the Central Bank there, our Chancellor, spoke about $20 billion missing in the NMPC, no state government said, let us investigate. None. Yet, that is the money for all of us. I've just noted one here. Page 40, $22 billion. This, you're right, this is the money collected from LNG. That is the most profitable business in Nigeria. Dividends to be paid to the Federation account. Being diverted by NNPC today, $22 billion from our account. So, instead of joining the National Assembly now, probing this diversion, governors are silent. And of course, we are taking it up. We are likely to be in court next week on this matter. Because we all know it's a duty to fight poverty in our country. The other one is $62 billion. Oh yes. In 2015, I started a campaign. There is a law that had to be amended. Deep Offshore Inland Production Contract Act. And I had the campaign for 4 years. We even drafted the amendment, proposed amendment. So eventually in November last year, the amendment was passed. That amendment is going to fetch Nigeria $1.5 billion per annum. But that's not where I'm going. For the 18 years that law was not implemented, the provisions of the law, the Supreme Court ordered the federal government in October 2018, go and collect what has not been paid, and that is $62 billion. The federal government started the battle, office of the Attorney General. But the Minister of Petroleum Resources, the Minister of State, a leading APC member, Mr. Silva, he said no country, no government can collect that kind of money. And 2 weeks later, the federal government dropped the claim for that money. Now, I'm talking of $62 billion. You can multiply that by 470 naira or 480 naira. You know what that means? So we should be smiling to the bank. I've also challenged our governor. Luckily, Governor Fayemi has now taken this up. All the funds being recovered by the federal government, including the Abacha loot of about $4 billion, we've been trying to convince our governor, you have a share in this money. The Governor Fayemi recently agreed as chair of the Nigerian Governors Forum and has now given a brief to lawyers to pursue this matter. And the point I'm making here is that the economy of Nigeria shall be managed by the federal government and the state government. That is why you have the National Economic Council decided over by the Vice President. So I would have to say, therefore, that we have to fine-tune the debate on the structure. We must all agree that the structure of the federation is not working well, and that is where we need restructuring. But in the interim, our state government must take advantage of the provisions of the Constitution to demand their rights. They must also, in the area of economy and security, share powers with the president. And I would therefore want to conclude by urging the Ekiti State University to kickstart a debate beyond, must take the debate from those who want to break up Nigeria. We must take the debate from them, take it to a higher level, in a way that our country can be a better place for us and for generations yet unborn. The last point I made in my paper is on rising debt, indebtedness of Nigeria. Again, the Chancellor has warned us repeatedly. No responsible government takes a loan. No responsible government will take a loan to fund unproductive bureaucracy. You don't take a loan to pay jumbo emoluments of your legislators. You can only take a loan under our law, to embark on capital projects, promote education, and the rest of it. So, the task ahead of us is gargantuan, is monumental. But if we are united, if all the progressive forces, and when I talk of progressive, I don't mean APC. I'm talking of the new progressive forces. We need now to come together, work together, north and south, east and west. We must get our country to be on the path of development. And my conclusion is this. Finally, permit me to end this lecture on a note of warning. And the warning is that power devolution to the states from the center without the democratization of such powers will not promote development of the country. In other words, restructuring without the equitable redistribution of the Commonwealth will not endanger unity, as unity is not an abstract phenomenon. In concrete terms, unity means the corporate existence of Nigeria. The fact that the unity of the country is based on the ruthless exploitation of the working people is of no moment to the members of the ruling class. But for me, since the rich are united in exploiting our national resources, the exploited poor and oppressed people should equally unite to free themselves from the shackle of poverty. Thank you very much.
My God, Mr. Femi Falana, the guest lecturer of the 24th Convocation Lecture of Ekiti State University at Ekiti. You know the title already. I tend to believe that many of us, if not most of us, have gone far above what we were when we arrived here today. True of us? No, I could, they say yes, say nay. True of us? Thank you very much. If not most of us, but many of us. And we are returning to our various destinations with lots of ideas for positive and concrete action. We listened to inaugural lectures, convocation lectures. After that, what next? This is why I'm challenging all of us, including myself. You have the copies, and those who don't have it, it's just 500 naira per copy. President-elect of the United States of America, Joe Biden, he said that my grandfather used to tell me to keep the faith, but my grandmother will now add, not just keeping the faith, spread the faith. So now that we have listened to Mr. Femi Falana, now you spread it and we make Nigeria better than what we are now. Patriotism does not mean stupidity. We need to unite to fight the evil forces. There are evil forces in our society. We, the people. And the constitution has been militarized constitution. There has been militarization of politics in Nigeria. By 2023, by God's grace, if this present president finishes his term, out of 24 years of democracy or whatever I call it civilian governance, not the democracy. After the 24 years, 2 retired military people would have been president for 16 years. The constitution militarized, and we too, we are following them. And we say we are a people. So another thing that I'm going to say is the elite. When Brother Femi Falana referred to the universities, now that we have SSS strikes, how do we think? Since we continue, look at if I'm dealing with a person who asks to be deaf and dumb or a group, then what do? I don't need to be deaf and dumb with that person. I should move on. So ASU strike and the government, what are they doing? If you see a person, you don't follow the crowd. So I appeal that if you are dealing with deaf and dumb people, by the time the universities are opened now, there will be dilapidated buildings. SSS, the elite, are part of the major problems we have in this country. But Brother Femi Falana has not joined them. It is not if you can't do them, you join them. The people, as he has come to do now, they will be talking big English and so on and so forth, and accusing fingers at people. But what of us? To me, restructuring means restructuring ourselves. But the reports. There are those who don't want Nigeria to work well. That is why they are not releasing that report. I'm working on that report. That report did lots of good. We were there together. And is it a waste of time? I've said it, I'm not going to join any crowd. Then, coming to the Chancellor, I've been wanting to meet with him, but I have to quote you. I wrote about it in my book, Beyond Ideas. You may not know. I know the way you are now sitting, you want to listen. I'm a journalist, it's good reports. You know, there was an article I wrote on December 7, 2010. Me, I know they laugh. That time it was General Basanjo said, I dey laugh for himself and his vice president then, Atiku. The two laughing adults. And I have to say, me, I know they laugh. And I quoted Chancellor. So we are blessed to have him as our Chancellor. On page 355, I wrote, laughter depicts happiness. Yes, it is good to laugh. It expresses jubilation. As the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 states, there is a reason for everything, and so on and so forth. This is a period for sober reflection, a time for individual and collective stock-taking. Actually, with the inglorious Senate's public hearing of the dignified governor of Central Bank, CBN, Malam Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, broadcast live on television, I was convinced that we could not keep laughing in Nigeria in a chaotic atmosphere. The sin of the courageous CBN governor against the National Assembly was a sentence in a 2.5 paper he gave at the Benedict University of Okada. Your Highness, am I saying the truth? Otherwise, hang me. Benedict University of Okada, Edo State, late last month, that was November 2010. During the university's convocation, just as Brother Femi has come here now, at the lecture, Sanusi gave the dramatic picture of the country's financial expenditure and made a reference to the fact that the National Assembly alone was getting 136,259,762,102 naira, which is exactly, as the registrar quoted, exactly 25.4% of the total federal government's overhead of 536,268,49,280 naira. I'm not sure most of the National Assembly members would have gone through the entire paper before calling for the head of the CBN governor. Some people would have relied on the media reports for their judgment. Then the last paragraph. The Senate, through its Senate Finance and Appropriate Committee, invited the Malam to the much publicized public hearing on Wednesday, 2 December 2010. I noticed one senator who would not contribute normally to serious debates at the state chambers, but he suddenly found his voice to attack Sanusi, and some other senators echoed the CBN governor, their collective enemy. They wanted the Malam to withdraw his statement. There was tension. In spite of everything, Sanusi said, and I quote, by my upbringing, if I'm wrong, I don't need to be told to come and say I'm wrong, and I would apologize. By my nature, if I'm not convinced that I'm wrong, I do not apologize. And this is really the point, and this is really where the point is, end of quote. Yes, this is a man who is proud of his dignity. May we continue to have more of such in our land. Sanusi knew it was a serious matter and he faced it seriously. Your Highness, Being a chancellor in Ekiti State University is also a serious matter. This is Ekiti State land of integrity, land of honor, and we thank you for accepting. The candidates of Ekiti will continue to partner with the university, and we will continue to do the right things the right ways. What we need now is right people must be at the right places, doing the right things for things to be right in Nigeria. Without doing the right things in Nigeria, whether restructuring or whatever you call it, we can never sleep. And for those who are asking for, for people to come and save us these security challenges, they call them what? Mercenaries. Mercenaries, when they come in, they will try to infiltrate because they collect their money in dollars, and that is what we'll be facing. Let us face our problems ourselves and get your voters' cards for 2023. Thank you very much. I had not even met with you. You are a detribalized human being. When he was the governor of Central Bank, I was told, and I learned of it, you gave a rule to the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja to be having Mass. And I celebrated Mass there thrice. He is a Muslim, and that is what we need in this country. Religion can never divide us. Ethnicity should not divide us. And I've written here, Your Royal Highness, Muhammadu Sanusi II, 14th Emir of Kano, God bless, sustain, strengthen, protect and guide you and your beloved family, friends and well-wishers. Always. Thank you.
Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellors, members of Council, Senate, Congregation and Convocation, Your Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be present at this Convocation lecture at Ekiti State University. When I was contacted by the university and told that there would be a virtual convocation ceremony this year, and I saw the program, I said to the registrar, is Femi Falana going to come in person or deliver the lecture virtually? And he replied that he was going to be here in person. So I said I would fly into the country to be here. I also told him that when I was awarded an honorary doctorate by this university 2 years ago, in 2017, I was unable to make it. I sent Senator Shekaro to represent me. And I would like to be here in person for the installation as a mark of appreciation for the honor that has been done to me by the state and by the university in appointing me as Chancellor. I'm sure many of you know that I cannot resist making remarks when and going through the lecture and listening to the guest lecturer, I'm sure we all have had more than what you call a food for thought. It was as expected, courageous, straight to the point, intelligent and grounded in law. I would like to make a few comments, no more than 4 or 5. I think the first thing that Femi has reminded all of us is that the clamor for restructuring Nigeria should not be allowed to be a camouflage or a veil for those who actually want to divide the country. There's a difference between restructuring and succession. There's a difference between restructuring and civil war. There's a difference between restructuring and enmity and division. And one of the most important points that we miss is that every time we talk to ourselves and talk about restructuring the country, we base our conversation on the background of a dialogue between different people, not one people. We think we are talking about different ethnicities, or it's about different religions or adherence to different religious beliefs. And we take individuals and put them into a box. You are from Kano, you are from Ekiti, you are from Anambra, and we think because you are from Kano, we know who you are. And every man from Kano is the same, every man from Ekiti is the same, every woman from Anambra is the same, and it is not true. So I'll give you an example of my life. So I'm from Kano, and that is true. And I'm a Muslim, and that is true. When I was 8 years old, my father took me from Kano and put me in a boarding Catholic school in Kaduna, 4 sections. I was brought up by sisters from the convent of the Queen of the Apostles in Cork, Ireland. If you go there today, there's a sister Catherine. If you ask her, she still remembers me. You usually remember the troublesome ones. She still remembers me. So, I grew up. Nobody tried to convert me. Of course, I probably can say the Hail Marys and the Our Fathers better than many Christians. I have retained my connection with the Catholic Church. My best friends are friends I made from those days, from the age of 8. From Kaduna, straight, I came to King's College. Then after King's College, I went to ABU in Zaria. So where am I from? After just 2 years of lecturing in ABU, I started working in the bank. Most of my life, I spent working in Lagos. I worked in Icon Merchant Bank, I worked in UVA. I never asked to be transferred to the north. On the 1 or 2 occasions I was transferred, I fought to come back because all my friends were in Lagos. Went to the central bank, became an amen. So, I'm from Kano. The person who dethroned me is from Kano. The plane that was waiting for me at the airport to bring me to Lagos when I was dethroned was arranged by a friend from Delta. When I was dethroned, the first place I thought of to go to from Kano was not Kaduna, it was not Sokoto, it was not Maiduguri. I said, allow me and my family to go to Lagos. They said I could not go. I was taken somewhere in Nasarawa. My family came on a plane to Lagos. My friends in Lagos met my family. They put them in a hotel for one night, spent the next day until they found apartments in Victoria Island, put them there and paid, gave them food. By the time I came back to Lagos, I stayed in those apartments for 2 months, paid for by my friends. And they arranged my house, which I had left since I left First Bank, was renovated, it was furnished. Another house was donated and furnished. My family settled down. This would have cost hundreds of millions of naira by my friends, 90% of whom are Christians from southern Nigeria. So how do you look at me and condemn me for being from Kano? Or how do you tell me that Christians are bad people or Southerners are bad people? But the question is, if my father had not taken me to a Catholic school, if my father had not insisted I should come to King's College, would I be the person I am today? And how are we bringing up our own children? You know, the country is only as good as the people. And character is formed from home, from family. I tell people a story when I was in St. Anne's. I caught malaria. I was a very tiny boy. I was around 9 years old then. I was shivering in my bed. This Irish sister, Sister Catherine, came around looking at the dormitories and she saw me. Touched my forehead, felt the temperature. She wrapped me in her arms and took me to the hospital. Children do not forget that. So what's killed this country is the narrative we're bringing our children up on. You know, if you ask my daughters, if you ask my sons, I tell them if I see them bringing friends and I don't see friends from other parts of the country, I say, where are your Yoruba friends? Where are your Igbo friends? It's casual, but then they grow up knowing that they are expected to have Yoruba and Igbo friends. And that is the only way nobody will come and deceive you and tell you Yoruba are bad, Igbo are bad, Fulani are bad, Muslims are bad, because you have known real human beings and they are wonderful human beings. So what we have done and what we have lost as a country is we have allowed people, for their selfish reasons, to break us into compartments that are mythical. It's a myth. Ethnic and religious identity is a myth. The term identity, strictly speaking, means unique. You have an identity. Nobody else is exactly like you. You can't tell me that because I was born in a place, or because I profess a faith, or because I speak a language, then even if the person is my twin brother, we are two different identities. So until we now begin to say what values do we want as a country? Competence, integrity, justice, fairness, and these values have no ethnicity, they have no religion. Until we agree on the values that will define how we operate as a country, we will not resolve this problem. The second point I'd like to make is a point that was alluded to by Femi Falana. You know, we talk about diversity. Even our constitution talks properly, and diversity is a good thing. But what is the diversity that our constitution talks about? States of origin. The constitution goes to the extent of saying there must be a minister from every state in the federation. That is all. Whether these ministers are competent or idiots, whether they went to school or did not go to school, it doesn't matter. They can all be men in their 70s, no woman. The youth do not have to be represented. In other words, our concept of diversity is so limited. I think this is the point that Femi Falana is making. How do you have a country with more than half of the population being female? Not a single female governor. How many female ministers? We have 109 seats in the Senate. How many women are in the Senate? House of Reps. Most states of the Federation, the cabinet will have a token female commissioner, and she will be commissioner for women affairs. Isn't that true? Chairman local government and councillors are male. So think about the fundamental problems we face as a country. When we talk about things like child marriage, we talk about things like domestic violence, you talk about divorce and the rights of women, you talk about custody and maintenance of children. These are problems that are faced by women. You go to a state house of assembly that's supposed to make a law around these things. Not a single member has ever been forced into marriage. Not one has ever been divorced. Not one has ever been beaten. Because they're all men, they've been doing the beating. How do you address those fundamental problems of the family that are at the roots? All these people you see on drugs or on fanaticism or extremism, it started from the family. And I think what Mr. Falana is saying is that you can't just wait for people to do it, you've got to actively pursue it. And this is my experience in life. When I was in the central bank in 2012, I said, let's declare this the year of the woman in banking. A whole lot of noise, we set up a committee, we pushed through, we negotiated. At the end, what did we agree? All the banks signed up to a document that said every time we do an employment exercise, at least 50% will be female. We will aim to have at least 40% of senior management being female. And our boards will be at least 30% female. And many of the banks have complied. Today, if you go to the stock exchange, most of the companies that have many women on the board are banks. That was because we drove that process. But take the central bank itself. The Central Bank of Nigeria was set up in 1959. I became governor of the central bank in 2009, 50 years. In the 50 years of the history of the central bank, only 4 women had risen to the rank of director. Only 4. and not at the same time, at different times, so never more than one. In 1 year, I appointed 8 female directors. And those directors were better than all the men. So all we achieved, those women were behind it. And I deliberately took areas, there were areas, you know, when you carry a woman, you say human resources, medical. Because they're like elderly aunts, they're mothers. That is all they can do. You had areas in the central bank that could only be handled not just by men, but by very strong alpha men. I took them from the men and gave women. I appointed the first female director of banking supervision. All the bank MDs were reporting to her. Internal audit, risk management, consumer protection, branch operations. Work that they thought women could not do. Chukumbo Martins, director of banking supervision, she ran all the bank MDs into the ground. They obeyed her. The Constitution says a minister from every state. Why can't our Constitution say that no single gender can have more than 60% of the cabinet? A law against dominance. That means at least 40% of your cabinet will be either male or female. You have diversity. Why don't you go for diversity in the youth? Why is it impossible for young people to be ministers? We've had heads of state in Nigeria in their 30s. Why is it impossible for a young man of 30-something, or to have several of them in their 30s to be ministers? And if it is not being done automatically, why can't we deliberately legislate for it and compel? Even if you are a man and become president, you must appoint women to your cabinet. Even if you're an old man, you must appoint young people. And so on. So I think the point Femi Falana made is a fundamental point that goes to our understanding of diversity and the benefits and privileges that we'll have. A third point tied to diversity is this question of federal character. And I'm on record to have made my point. I'm a very strong believer in diversity, strong believer in federal character. I have never believed that federal character should be pursued at the expense of merit and competence. And so long as we continue to do that, where it doesn't matter whether you're qualified, so long as you're from Ekiti, you tick a box. You don't have to go for the best person in Ekiti. You have to go for the best person in Kano, for the best person in Borno. So long as you tick the box that you are from that state, it is fine. We are not going to have the investments in human capital that we need as a country. When people understand that offices in this country will be shared to reflect the diversity of this country, but you must earn that office and be qualified for that office. People invest in education and the quality of their human beings. I have never found myself looking for a job and saying, please give me because I'm from Kano. I have always been ready to offer my CV and say, this is what I've done. And compete. And I challenge any Nigerian from any part of the country to bring, if your CV is better than mine, fine. If it's not, accept that I should get the job. So we need to begin to look at, I think, what His Grace referred to as putting the right people in the right place. It doesn't matter where you're from, when the country needs service, the person who is there should be somebody who must deliver. in every office. I would like to make a final point. And this is about character. When you graduate from the university, they say you found worthy of knowledge and character. If you listen very carefully to Femi Falana, you will end up with the reasonable conclusion that without changing one letter of the Nigerian Constitution, without changing one letter of the existing laws, if only we lived by the letter and the spirit of the law, we would fix 70% of the points we're talking about. You know, we have institutions, we have character, we have people manning institutions. And those people choose not to do the right thing. And then we get the results that we have. Where is our civil service? The security services, the judiciary, the police. These institutions are institutions that are called the central bank. These are called unelected power. They are given authority on the condition that their loyalty is to the nation and to the laws of the land, not to individuals. Now, if people choose not to do that, it is not the fault. You see, politicians will always want to make you do something. I was governor of the Central Bank. The Central Bank Act says the Central Bank cannot lend to the federal government more than 5% of last year's revenue. That is the law. You can't stop people from saying, I want money. You read them the law. If they want to change the law, let them change the law. But so long as the law is there, you are protected. And I'll give you one example from my own life that influenced me significantly in my career. And I'm giving it because I think people blame politicians when in fact it is all those structures that have been set up to keep politicians in check that have decided to compromise themselves. And it is the people managing those things. I don't know how many of you remember 1975 when Murtala Mohammed came to power. And many of you remember, everybody talks about there was a purge in the civil service. Civil servants were purged. There was one ministry in which there was not a purge. The Ministry of External Affairs. My father was appointed permanent secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. And he was sent a list of ambassadors that he had to retire. He said they had not reached retirement age. He was told that every ministry had submitted lists of people that had gone, and his ministry had to contribute. He said he has checked their files. None of them has been queried. None of them has committed an offense under civil service rules, and he did not see a basis for retiring them. My father was summoned to Jordan Barracks. He was told he was not the only permanent secretary in Nigeria. That all the perm sets. And he said, fine. He said, if you give me an order, sir, I will obey the order, but my name will be number 1 on that list. No ambassador was retired. So we all sit down and blame Murtala and Obasanjo and the military. If every permanent secretary had done what my father did, that purge would not have happened. No government would have risked having all its permanent secretaries resign en masse because it was violating civil service rules. And that told me something. It's very easy to blame politicians, blame the governor, blame the president. The civil servant who knows the rules and refuses to obey the rules, the police, the judiciary, the academics, the intellectuals who are supposed to be the conscience of society, the journalists who take money to write false stories. We are all to blame. So I think Nigeria has problems that are far more fundamental than the structure. The structure is important, but if you don't fix these problems, no matter how good an institution is, you put the wrong human being there, it destroys the institution. Have the institutions, have the laws, but we must build the human beings with the character to say, I'm sorry, sir, this is what the law says. If you want to do it differently, you have to change the law. And from my experience, no boss, he'll be angry, but no boss will dare put on paper that he is directing you to break the law. Now, obviously, you can lose your job. I've been sacked many times. But so long as you understand that your principles and your conscience are more important than any job, and that a job is just a title, it is not you. So long as you understand that, you are not going to give a second thought to what will happen to you if you stand on principle. If you stand on principle, you can never lose. You can never lose. So, I know I'm not supposed to give my own convocation lecture, but it's a topic that I think that we should finish in time. I can afford to waste my own time for listening. And I do hope that Ekiti State is going to be, and I hear your Vice Chancellor is a radical, and with your Chancellor, I think we're going to, I hope it will be a properly radical university.
I'd like to adopt the existing protocol because our time is gone and I'm quite aware that we have some other schedules they're going to meet. But it will be remiss on my part this afternoon if I do not singularly recognize the Kali Bishop of Ekiti Diocese in the person of my Lord Bishop Felix Adekai. You are welcome, sir. When we were about looking for the speaker, the convocation lecturer for today, two names were on the radar. Dr. Aki Adeshino, the current president of African Development Bank. I got in touch with him. He's my very good friend. Initially, we thought he would come. But however, it was during the period of when there was this crisis about his second term. Consequently, we knew that it would not work. Two things decided us. First was who would be the speaker that will have the courage, that will have the audacity, and probably the temerity to speak truth to power. Consequently, we went back to the drawing board and some names cropped up. And the first on that list is Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. But we had a problem. First was the fact that his schedule was tight. And secondly was the fact that we were running out of time. The Vice Chancellor got in touch. He could not get his go-ahead for today. Then he called me. Mr. Fenfala has been my friend since the 80s. And instead of going through the officialdom on behalf of the Governing Council, no, I didn't do that. I started calling him by his nickname, Femo Baba. Femo Baba. Femo Baba. Then he said, you this man, you have started again. I said, I'm begging you. Why was I begging the convocation lecturer? First, because we've discovered that in every government, there are 3 sets of people. Even for that government, first, you have the apologists. Government will be derailing, they will still find something good about that government. Secondly, you have the collaborators. Then, thirdly, you have the conscience of the nation. We picked Mr. Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, because in him we have a man that is the conscience of this nation. When I was with His Highness yesterday evening, myself and the Vice Chancellor, when we went to pay him a courtesy visit, he kept talking about, are we sure that Mr. Falana will attend in person this convocation? He said, yes, Your Highness. And one thing that struck me was that it was as if it was prearranged that 2 people that have spoken power to authority, spoken truth to authority, and that in the process they've suffered personal losses. Every one of us, we know His Highness right from his King's College days in Lagos, when he grew his career in the First Bank of Nigeria. And over the years, he has not relented in ensuring that this nation is reformed, that this nation is redeemed, so that every man will have his place that he could call it. So I want to thank you so much, Your Highness. We have listened to Mr. Femi Falana's brilliant lecture. We are not expecting anything less. I've gone through the lecture yesterday evening. It will have gone for an inaugural lecture. It was well researched. It was well calibrated. And the facts you cannot assail. It beats imagination that when you have someone like Mr. Femi Falana suffering personal losses, he's been jailed many times, he's been harassed many times, but yet he has refused to be compromised. We are grateful to you this afternoon. You have been in the trenches, out of the trenches. When some of us will think that eventually you have gotten out of the trenches and will not go back, that's when you even go back again. But we want you to know this afternoon that you have done us so proudly, not only as a convocation lecturer, but as a true-born Ekiti man. We are so proud of you. However, before I take my seat, His Highness has spoken so extensively, so brilliantly. It's always a delight to listen to. The one question I want to raise, probably an interrogation, is that the lecturer said so many things. The battles he's fought, the battles he won, those that he's still fighting. The question is this: why is it that we have a government in Nigeria today, not only impervious to reason, not only cruel to the citizens? Why is it that when men of good conscience like you tell the nation that this ship that we are in is adrift, and that if care is not taken, it's going to capsize. You've been at the national conference, the last one in 2014, and we have been at many of these ones. Why is it that we have a reprobate government as we have in Nigeria today? Thank you so very much.
Our Chancellor will take his leave while we will continue the program.
My challenge right here, sir, you can name 10 people in this state who could have taken the mantle of politics and to have led the blind to actually get to his group. But I feel that many of you are shying away and would like to criticize or like to polish those things that are not very much good for us. But I have challenged 1 or 2 or 3 of you. One is our father, and the other one is my brother, the other one is also from Ikere. I said, why don't you people go into politics? I say in law, you can correct many things that are wrong in this country directly, rather than making you scapegoat for what you for the truth. Please, when you go back to your people, particularly the barristers, ask many of them to be bold enough to go into politics. Particularly those who are guilty. You are very brilliant, you are very outspoken, but we don't want to go into politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next lecturer for today, I just want you, sir, from your experience and knowledge, or whether there's anyone in this assembly who could cite any country in this world that has taken so long, at least 60 years, to get it right. And I'm going to operationalize getting it right as people manufacture simple household tools like pin, matchsticks, toothpicks, and the like. Thank you very much.
And I don't mean partisan politics. Under the military, there were only 2 political parties in Nigeria. The party of the military and the party of the activists. And we were both fighting for the soul of Nigeria. We eventually got them out of the system in 1999. But Prof, we never in our wildest imagination, never believed that we'll be in this mess. Again, Prof, you may not be totally correct that some of us run away from even partisan politics. In 2003 here, I contested election in this state. And I'm sure many people will recall here. The Vice Chancellor, the registrar were my people. I've seen some of my other friends here. But I haven't been far from politics. At that time, my people, I mean, that was the year the Southwest was going to be conquered by the PDP or Passenger group. But our people also made their choice. And you can't blame them. But that does not mean that I run away from politics. I mean, just this morning, I read something that 200 billion naira are being marked by the Central Bank for housing. And I saw the names of states there. I didn't see Ekiti State. So I sent a text to the governor. And I do that on a regular basis. And the governor replied me, there was a mistake, we are going to be there. So I challenge those who are in power. And I can tell you this because I'm worried over these violent clashes between herders and farmers. And I'm trying to remind our people, in Okapo, around the Kole area, Awolowo had a ranch. That land is about 12,000 hectares. I hope the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture is still around. And I'm challenging him. We must do something. I'm happy that a friend in the business world, and we're encouraging him, is interested in developing the place. So we are not away from politics. And I challenge those who are in power, I can tell you that very regularly, to ensure that we put this state on the map of development and ensure that, you know, we can find our rightful place. Because a state of intellectuals cannot afford to be backward, because the world is ruled by idea, not by the number of barrels of oil that you produce. The second one, I think that's listening, backward, not prepared to move. Congo is a disaster. Democratic Republic of the Congo, worse, is the richest African country in terms of resources, but that country has been pursued among criminal gangs. Libya was doing very well, had the best welfare package in Africa, but the West conspired to turn Libya into a theater of war. Today there are about 6 factional leaders in that country. In our own case, and that is why we must get a state like Ekiti. We must wake up. Yeah, I am disturbed, and I'm sure you all know this. I want you all to know, come on, nobody goes to the farm seriously here. People wake up in the morning, drink palm wine. Even when you ask young men, what are you doing? I'm in politics, sir. Doing what there? Now, and I'm serious, sir. Today, you hardly can have people like Professor Makini and the rest of us who are children of Atapata going high, you know, in terms of education. Most of the people at universities now are the children of the elite. We must reverse that and get our system to work for our people. So, Prof, people like us who are enlightened, the elite intellectuals, will have to terminate the shame that Nigeria has become. We must feed ourselves. And a state like this, our cocoa trees are no longer there. So you then ask yourself, what are we doing? And we are proud. I mean, people talk about restructure. If you restructure Nigeria today, tomorrow, and what that means, everybody should be on his own in terms of revenue. Apart from Lagos State, no state in the southwest can pay salary for 1 month. So we depend on rents from oil from the Niger Delta, and that's why everybody runs to Abuja. When I was contesting here, I told the Ekiti people, if you make me governor, after the first year, I won't need the money from Abuja. I will just ask them to put it in an escrow account, because you can develop this state. We have solid minerals that nobody is talking about. We can turn this place into a basket to produce food. You know, I do hope that efforts are being made along those lines. But it's your own duty and mindset. Particularly the universities, you must produce ideas to compel those who are in power to develop our society. I'm happy you have here now, I mean the Pro-Chancellor, up to this morning, we're still discussing. And the Pro-Chancellor, I said, Femi, don't go after this program. We need to discuss. It's to discuss the development of this university. Because it's our duty to make contacts with our friends to see how we can get this university to be one of the best in the country. Thank you.
We go back to our families. In the Catholic Church, we see the family as domestic church and the first school. Let me give you an example. I saw a Camry car, the way the people were driving, the driver knows in that Camry car. I was driving. Contradictory court judgments in this country today. Then, maybe I'm in new facts. The judgment in Rivers Cross, I think, should be biased. That because of the fault of the deputy governor, the governor lost that position. The governor elect. Then the one of Imo State, no candidate for this run of that they need. Sometimes about 2 weeks ago. No candidate for All Progressives Congress. And they said the party won because there were conflicting judgments. So why do we have such? And even the FCC, the cases of corruption, they keep on dragging and dragging and dragging. What can we do to make things work? Did anybody raise the students?
We are in a stage at that time how his father stood on his ground against the intimidation of the government. But if you look at it today, we know except Eksu, Catholic Union is working. So what is happening is everybody in the head of the union, the government needs to cow them to follow their suit. And the INEC was saying that we can make this nation work by standing on our ground, by being fair. So how do we make things work when the people we put in the head of affairs to represent us, when they are being intimidated, when they are being cowed by the government? So how do we make things work? Can we say the revolution, because some of us that believe that the nation should work, can we say the revolution can make things work? Or what do you think? What is the way forward, sir? So far, all of us cannot be speaking at the same time, even though if we have integrity. But the government, the people in the head of affairs, they will just manipulate the people that are representing us to suit themselves to the detriment of the masses. So, sir, how do we make this work if we cannot speak at the same time?
I'm very critical of contradictory judgments. They cannot be justified, particularly in this age of the internet. If a judgment is given anywhere in the country, other judges who read their newspapers are likely to know what has been decided. So the question of giving a contradictory judgment does not help the image of the judiciary. And sometimes there is more to it than what meets the eye. I won't go beyond that. But I'm challenging my colleagues, watching the developments in America now, where none of the cases instigated by President Trump is going to be in court in the next 1 week. All of them are being dismissed. And no adjournment. In the case of Nigeria, cases that have to do with alleged certificate forgery go on endlessly. When you say a case is a pre-election matter, that means that case should be decided before election. That is why it is pre-election. But in Nigeria, such cases are continued after the election. I don't understand it. I've written about it, I've criticized my colleagues. But we are all learning from America now, where judges appointed by President Trump are rubbishing him. They are dismissing his frivolous and vexatious petition. And that's what is going on. If I call last 4 days ago, after the Supreme Court of America dismissed his frivolous appeal, he called one of the judges. I appointed you. Why did you do it? And the lady told him, Mr. President, my appointment is for life. You know what that means? You can't sack me. You can't do anything to me. If Trump were here, that man would go nowhere. But because there is a system in place to tame him and reduce his enormous power, that is why he's on his way out. And we must build our own system in a way that whoever you are, the law will be higher than you. One of the reasons why Trump is afraid to go, I can tell you that, he's going to be pursued after January 20th. because he has committed some offenses. And the courts have said, go and investigate his taxes. And there's nothing you can do about that. And that must be the kind of system we must put in place. So, sir, the case of Bayelsa, very sad, because two of our most senior lawyers in this state were involved. Chief Afebabalere said, and Chief Oladimeji said, you know, when you see an Afebabalere in court, who hadn't been to court for about 10 years, donning his wig and gown, you know there will be something serious in the court. Because to go to the Supreme Court and ask them to review their judgment, only few lawyers who are courageous can do it. But from there, they go elsewhere. And so, what did they go there for? Now, my lords, you made a mistake in your judgment. Only a few lawyers can say that in the Supreme Court. They say, how dare you? And what was the mistake? The Federal High Court held that it was only the deputy governor that was barred, disqualified. It didn't affect the governorship candidate. The matter went to the Court of Appeal. That decision was upheld. It now went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, we hereby uphold the judgment of the Federal High Court. And that the two of them should go. So that was what the lawyers went back to. Sorry, sir, you made a mistake. Because the Federal Court did not order the two of them to go. Only one. And the Supreme Court said, even for bringing this application, thou shalt pay 30 million naira damage. And the two lawyers were to pay 60 million naira damage. Therefore, of course, I've contacted both of them to see how those penalties can be set aside. And I'm sure they are working on that. Because you can't penalize me for doing my job. If you don't agree with my application, you dismiss it. But you cannot now impose a fine on me when I have not committed an offense. So we are taking it up in the area of human rights. So my lord, this is being taken care of. We have also challenged the NJC to be up and doing and ensure that the image of the judiciary is not further removed. On the way forward for our country, my brother. Igbo. Yes, Igbo. The Supreme Court has decided, in the case of Amechi and INEC, that it is political parties that win election. In the case of Imo, the APC won that seat, but the candidate is not known yet. Two candidates have favorable court judgments in their favor, and both of them are claiming to be the winner of the election. That has not been decided by the court. The game can only happen in Nigeria. Because for me, if you say Femi Falana did not attend Obafemi Awolowo University, you don't need to adjourn that. Even on the table of the judge, he can find out from the university record. So that's not the case you adjourn for 3 months, 1 year. Do you understand what I'm saying? I once went to the US to give evidence in a case. I had a flight delay in Lagos. So the lawyer was going to leave me in evidence as an expert evidence. 1990. Told the judge that my flight was delayed. My lord, no, they don't say my lord in America. Judge, I'm speaking from the bar. Okay. What is the flight? Air France. Can I have the flight number? So the lawyer didn't know where the judge was going. The judge got the flight number and on his table there confirmed that I was airborne. And told the judge, the lawyer, I have just found that you are telling the truth. Otherwise, I would have sent you for discipline. Here, many of our lawyers say, my lord, I'm speaking from the bar. It cannot be the bar of truth. It can only be from the beer bar. Because it's a lie, it's telling lies. So when you tell a judge now, I'm speaking from the bar, don't go there. Let me know what is the truth. So for us, if you are looking for about the way forward for our country. All I've done all day, the Emir, all of us, is about the way forward for our country. And we have made it clear to you. Don't complain. Let us start individually. Can we make Ekiti a beacon of hope for our country? And it is possible to say the way we have run Ekiti State, we want Nigeria to be run that way. And it is possible. It is doable. And democracy is the best form. Yes, it's good to talk about revolution. But revolution is a bloody, violent overthrow of a government. And in the African experience, many of those who carry out those revolutions, particularly for the military, have led the societies worse than they met them. So it is better for us to mobilize, register for elections, vote for programs, as was the case in those days. But if you trade off your future and the future of your children by collecting only 3,000 or 5,000, the Bokimi Sebe. I used to be a politician in my hometown. This thing about giving money didn't start today. So when you go to give 500 naira or 1,000, after the election, you now go to Yariamo Memwashe, and I've given your son and some employment. So what do you mean? But I paid you to vote for me now. So, but please, if we are going to stop that, let us go back to those days by getting our political parties to address the problems confronting our society. And each of us must show interest in the affairs of our country. I have challenged you, sir, and particularly for our young people. This our Okada business alone cannot be the ambition of a young man who has gone to school. We must now get our governments to invest in our youths. We must have mechanized farms. We take our young people there to produce food. In this society that I know, much like my Lord Bishop has said, I know what is going on in this environment. And sometimes I'm afraid. I don't want to say I'm ashamed. When I see what is coming out of here, the products are not very encouraging. But where we have young people, this today, I have sent information to people about job opportunities. People used to come to my office. I'm from Ekiti State. I did an interview somewhere, and they don't want to take me. I said, are you sure you are likely to have passed here? So one guy came from my hometown one day and said, sir, I don't know anybody, I passed that exam, but they are giving to only those who know people. Okay. Can I have the details? I called the man, very senior person in the thing. He said, for me, are you sure you know this boy? I said, I know him, sir. He's very sure that he passed. He said the boy got 22%. And this is about competition. There is no job you are going to in Nigeria today that you are not likely to write an exam. You are not likely to attend an interview, particularly good jobs. Even in my own office now, my friends come and say me job. My son has got graduated as a lawyer. I say, yes, what can I do for you? I want to thank you for defending me. Because somebody said I ran away from the seminary. I thank you, sir. But let me say this. That many are called, but few are chosen. I wasn't chosen for the priesthood. But I'm trying to contribute my own quota to the development of my society. Thank you very much.
Permit me to observe the protocol already established because of time. On behalf of Council, Management, Senate, and the entire university community, I have the honor and privilege to present this gift. To a great man and one of the best in this generation, Barrister Femi Falana, in this capacity as the 24th Convocation lecturer of this great university. Congratulations.
Protocol. If you ask me sincerely, I'm a little busy now. I feel very busy. From the guest lecturer, I heard him say, because he's a man of integrity and he doesn't lie, he told us that several billions of dollars are missing. And I'm thinking, how come my university cannot just stumble on this missing money so that we can be rescued from our vanished state? And I still remain busy because today I observe an historic coincidence. In 2003, our guest lecturer was on the soapbox campaigning to be governor of this state, Ekiti State. That did not happen, and that's no news, even though we can take it as a partial loss. But coincidentally significant is that the three people who came on a procession into this hall today, my Vice Chancellor, my registrar, including the guest lecturer, were in the same party. They were in the same party 17 years ago. Who would have thought that these three people, with Professor Adetoye, my Vice Chancellor, my registrar, my Deputy Vice Chancellor, all of these guys, all of these people were in the same political party. Of our university, today we are the first, because I've asked questions while I was sitting down there, we're the first to assemble radicals in the same hall at the same time. The Bishop of Ekiti Catholic Diocese is an activist, is a radical. My Vice Chancellor is a seasoned comrade Vice Chancellor. That's the way it's called. The Deputy Vice Chancellor is a hard-boiled comrade. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, academics. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, development, is hard-boiled as a comrade. Now, how do you assemble all these people in one hall and there has been no turbulence? I asked the CSO, is everything okay? He said everything is okay. And on that note, I want sincerely to thank God for making this happen. Today is historic. We are lucky. And no more sweetens my mouth than the words of His Highness, that now with him as our Chancellor and my Vice Chancellor for who he is, and now you understand how it all hangs together, that this university is going higher. We thank him for this occasion, for his time, and for the diligence he has brought to the task of today. We want to thank our Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council, who has led. And just yesterday, the image that he cast on all of us as the leader of council, that came to bear, not only in the wisdom that came with all the deliberations, but his candidness and the integrity that attend such deliberations. We thank you, sir. So, dear President, we want to thank all of us for our patience, for our diligence, and for our commitment to making sure this university rises higher. To us all, we say a big thank you. Thank you so much.
Ekiti State University. Eksu,
Shining all space, I say shine. The goal is made to best the best race. For strength and builds our nation.
Hail, hail, Ekiti State University.
The fountain from which we all draw its joy. We acknowledge God and His grace. For institution fostered with learning and culture. Great may you remain forever and ever.
Eksu.
Shining all space, I say shine. The goal is made to best the best race. For strength that builds our nation.